Hello, world, and welcome to our podcast. We're two pals with different viewpoints and thoughts who really don't know much of anything, fly by the seat of their pants, discuss news, politics, conspiracy theories, and much, much more. One's a genius, the other's an idiot. Are they both idiots?
Or are they both geniuses?
You be the judge. Now, live from beautiful Central Florida. Welcome to Political No Brainer. Your hosts are to your right, and we all know I'm always right. It's me, Zach, and to your left, he got left out today.
I got left out yesterday.
Coach
That's
Trippy.
okay.
It's Coach Trippy and our very, very special guest back for a second time, gracing us with his presence, Coach Daryl Blackall. Daryl,
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. Thanks for letting me be here.
fantastic. So, yesterday was the big day. Let me get a drink. Hold on a second.
Let me have a
That Bucky's cup has got some mileage.
I love my Bucky's cup. Do you know what's in it tonight?
vodka.
No. Tears of Liberals. And
Oh,
it tastes like sweet freedom.
Hang on. What, Nicholas?
That was for you, Trippy. He missed it.
Tear. I wanted to hear that. Tell me.
Hey, Coach, how was school today? What's up,
you know
Nicholas?
Thank you.
what?
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
It was awesome. Just another
Did,
good
did the
day in
care? Did the
public
kids even
education.
care it was election?
Do you know, actually, even in my alternative world, there was a lot of conversation. And do you know what? It was strongly positive because our group really felt like they're it's not going to be the status quo. So we'll just have to see. I mean, look, Mr. Obama couldn't rally that crowd, right? So we there was something being said behind closed doors, and I think we saw that in Georgia, and we saw that in Florida, and I think that there was,
Pennsylvania?
yeah, there were some messages being sent that just, look, I think the Trump voters decided not to put their signs out, and so it made the Harris Balls signs look bigger, and so and I think the media does what the media does, and they spin the hell out of it, and so to make this look close, and then the next thing you know, by 11:30, we're going to bed with a new president.
Yeah.
We are. So here's
Trippy,
my
you
question.
did hear what I was drinking, right, Trippy?
Tears of liberals.
And it tastes like freedom, baby.
No.
And it tastes like freedom. I did miss that part. So here's the thing.
So
I
hold on, hold
love.
on.
Go ahead.
Let me preface everything. Yesterday, in case you're tuning in from under a rock, yesterday was the election of all elections here in the United States. We voted our newest president back into office. Number 45 is now number 47. And all right, I'll do it. Trippy, I told you so.
You did.
Oh,
You
But
did.
not only was it one of the most and for me, I don't remember the was it Reagan and Dukakis where he killed him? I don't remember that because I was,
It
I was
was
a
Reagan
kid.
and Jimmy Carter, but
Who well, no, what was the one where the big huge landslide Reagan just crushed?
Reagan.
Okay.
Reagan was the biggest
Reagan.
landslide ever.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like
think last night might prove
48
different.
states,
Last
I
night,
believe.
last night our boy got 313 college
Yeah,
electoral
that's not the
votes.
biggest though, but it is a good
It's
victory. It's a
huge,
resounding
huge.
victory.
It's bigly, bigly,
Bigly,
Yeah.
bigly,
resounding.
It's,
huge, huge,
it's huge.
It's
huge.
huge, bigly. So let me
It was the
say,
greatest victory ever. I would.
so we're onward and upward. Just to
Stop
say,
using
not to bring up a
Obamas. Don't
negative
bring
point, but
up Obama.
no,
That
no.
was him.
S- Who?
Well, no, it was that her. Who said onward and upward?
I think I'm the only one that said it. I've never heard either anybody
No, I
Yeah,
think.
think.
that's it. I'm giving that to Trip.
All right, I thought that was one of
I've
theirs.
never heard a political candidate say that,
I mean,
but
that's
that's okay.
good,
They may start saying it when they start watching our wonderful show.
right?
But here's the thing. So we're moving on, right? Imagine this is a clean slate for Donald Trump. He's gonna order his Justice Department to clear all the investigations. He's starting fresh, and like you said in your school, there's a feeling of it's not going to be the status quo, and I've got that good feeling. So here's my point. Elon Musk had mentioned it, in order to get our house in order, we've got to clear the docket of $2 trillion a year in expenses, which is basically all entitlements and still leaving about 600 billion to cut from about 400 billion to cut from Social Security to get to that $2 trillion mark. So my point is, how are we going to replace that void? Because people are depending on that money, simply put. And I think a wonderful way to look at it is you're doing an alternative type of education, which has been accredited. But how do we teach children to succeed where, when in fact their only option at this point, if Donald Trump gets his whole legislative docket passed, we eliminate 90% of the entitlements. And as my one small run for office, I mentioned one thing. I said, if you're going to start on the road of entitlement reform, let's start with the idea of making unemployment a bridge loan. We've got bankers that just got laid off and they were making 500 grand a year. Now they're drawing 500 bucks a week from the government. And at some point they're going to be back to making 500 grand a year. Let's start with the idea of them repaying that 500 bucks they received for a year, 25 grand.
I will tell you this one thing. 35, 40 years ago, I don't remember. I worked for my buddy as in landscaping back in Jersey. Only time in my life. In the winter, Jersey, it snows. So we would plow and shovel for cash
Right.
under the table. But during the summer, we got paid our regular paycheck. So in the winter, we went on unemployment. And I don't know what happened. I don't really recollect it, but they wanted their money back. They said I had to
Right.
pay it back. And I moved out of state and went to Texas. I said, good luck finding me,
But though
sucker.
we're getting to that point now where
But
people are
here's a
saying, "Hey,
question
we're
for you, Trippy. All right, we're going to cut the fat, right? Get rid of this entitlement. Um, in my opinion, there are many people out there who do need government assistance.
Absolutely.
I am no, I'm not a bad guy when it
Absolutely.
comes to that.
no,
Okay.
no, you're not." But
But
when Elon Musk says,
there are too many people on the government's teat, and I believe maybe slapping cold turkey might teach them a lesson. It's time. And if the way King Trump is going to run things, um, I, he's going to increase jobs, and so people can go out and get jobs, and everybody's going to work, and
"Well,
we'll be prosperity.
okay, I agree. Let's just say that Elon Musk puts his money where his mouth is. He bought Twitter and he laid everybody off. 90% of the staff was gone. He even stopped paying the cleaning crew in some of his offices. They were saying there was no toilet paper in some of the Twitter
Well, that'll teach
office
you. Find
buildings.
an office
Yeah,
that has toilet paper.
that's no good. Yeah, so that's no good.
So he's the guy that's going to initiate. He is the economy czar. Donald Trump coined that phrase. He's going to be my economy czar. He's going to be the guy that initiates the $2 trillion in cuts. 1.6 trillion is essentially what we're spending on entitlements. There's 400 billion to trim the fat from Social Security to get to that 2 trillion. How do we make people survive without it? And my feeling is like I said, if you're gonna, I've always believed in what Daryl does, teach people how to succeed.
But
And
but what about adults? Because I mean, sure,
but
there's
you
kids.
started
Do
from the
you?
bottom up.
Does anybody? I mean, help me out here, fellas, because we're all in that same wheelhouse. Now, let's talk about William Jefferson Clinton. If you guys remember, he couldn't get this through his own party, but William Jefferson Clinton wanted that welfare to work program where he was saying, look, there's going to be a lifetime limit on how you can draw welfare. Now you have 5, 7 years to find yourself either trade school, job corps, go to college. And look, I'll give you some welfare during those 5 to 7 years, but then after that, we're done here, folks. You better have used your money wisely. And I tell you, I know he couldn't sell it, but dadgummit, I think he was onto something, y'all.
Well,
I don't disagree with that at all. But what
I call
about
it political gentrification. He couldn't sell it, but he couldn't sell some sort of universal health care package either. And then 20 years later, we got the Affordable Care Act, which I like to
right,
coin the phrase it should be the Available Care Act because often
right.
it's
because
not
it
affordable,
ain't
but it's always
affordable.
available.
Well,
Right.
But
what about the people that are on SSI who, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, but how many people do you think actually truly deserve that? I mean,
well, I don't know, but
I told you the story about the lady who came in and she had three kids she was getting $4,500 a month because her kids had the ADHD, as she said. Now, could there have been something a lot more wrong with them and she was just a little ADHD herself? I don't know. But I mean, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I didn't sit down and interview the children. I was just giving them a car loan. I just found it struck me that it was like, what the heck? Seriously. I
Well,
mean,
I
you
think
know,
I think it does, and I think you're onto something because I think it comes down to scope, right? Because we have been exposed to so many talking heads over the last 20 years that I think we've lost what the scope really is. First off, I really don't believe Social Security for people who are like my age going older. Look, we've been paying into this thing since we were 15, 16 years old. It's not a giveaway program. Hell, it's my money, right?
right.
You're just giving me back a
It
piece of
was
my
basically
money.
nice of them to hold a little cash for
Yeah,
you earn.
thanks. And because I'm never going to get back what I've put in.
Yep.
no.
But for those, for those who do need it, for those who look, when Reagan closed down the mental health facilities those years ago, we started doing, then what do we do, right? What do we do with these people who need help? Because the help wasn't always available. So do the government, like it always does, starts throwing money at it, right? Because that's how the government fixes everything, right? It just throws money at it. And so instead of for these people getting help for what they need or what they can do, they just now all of a sudden they get a check, right? Or our jails have become holding places for our mentally ill. So we have to find out what that scope is, right? We have to find out who really needs the help, but then how do you do that? Because that's not free either, right?
Right.
But here's what I always tell people. I say, be glad we're not China, right? We're only 320 million. We're not 1.2 billion, right? So I think that our scope of problem is considerably smaller than a lot of places.
So my feeling is this: is we're on this path, like you said, where Bill Clinton couldn't sell the idea of work to welfare to work, couldn't sell the idea of some sort of healthcare package. He literally stood up before Congress and held a healthcare card, like a Social Security card, in front
Yep.
of the world. He didn't sell the package, but it did happen. You're like Zach said, it was a pretty good win for Donald Trump. There was a resounding sense of we want this new deal, not to coin a liberal phrase, but we want this new approach.
Right.
But okay, let's have the new approach. And I love what you do. You're getting people in your school that can't necessarily meet the academic credits, but can be successful in life with other things.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
But
your school's more tuned to kids who want to get their high school diploma but have to work.
To a certain degree, but we have kids. Yes, I guess the short answer is absolutely, Zach. That is absolutely right. But I also have kids who they've just mucked around and now they're 19 and all the other traditional schools don't want them because they're too old. But now it's like, oh God, now I've got life is right here. Look at me in the face. Now what do I do? Right.
Right.
And so we give them that option that says, no, let's go out, let's get that job. Because that plumbers are going to make as much money right now. Plumbing it was so funny. I talked to my oldest boy is in the Coast Guard, and in fact, he's going to retire here directly. And so, and he was like, "Dad, have you seen this stat on plumbers? Plumbers is fast growing, and those guys are making six figures, and it is amazing, right? And these kids don't Some of them have a high school diploma, some of them don't, but they have learned the art of plumbing. And I tell you, so there are other ways to get ahead. I, when I heard the elected president say we need to start building things, and Elon Musk say we have to start building things again in this country. Um, it almost takes me back to, remember that old HBO series that said there used to be a time in America where we were artsy fartsy and we also built big, beautiful things, right? We weren't afraid to get dirty. We weren't afraid, nothing was beneath us. And I think we kind of need to refine that America where we're like, if you want to be an artist, but don't look down on that kid that wants to weld metal together, right? Or that kid that wants to hang drywall. Let him go. No, we don't all have to be museum curators, right? There's only so much need for that. So I'm hoping that maybe during this election cycle, we can calm down some of the rhetoric about only stupid people voted for Trump. And last night on ABC, I was so frustrated because they must have said 100 times the educated counties are starting to look a little blue, and
that must have
dude,
been a
it pissed me
big,
off.
that must have been a big, and sorry, Jeff, but I've seen it on several liberal friends or Democratic friends. I'll be nice, but that must have been the big Democrat verbiage last night, because I heard more than one different or two different posts that the uneducated white
Yes,
man voted Trump back in office because the educated people didn't get out and get a chance to vote. I'm like, what sense are you making? Zero.
So when you look at that, when you take that into consideration and many other things, you have to realize the Democrats are very bad at the game of politics. They're not
Parlor tricks. I like that.
politics. They're not very good at messaging. We discussed that this morning.
No,
Their
but it's
messaging is,
everybody beats the same drum. I hear
but
the
here's my
same
point.
thing.
Let me say their messaging is trying to get people of lower income on their side. The messaging from the Republicans is more effective because what they're saying is, and it's been said before, if all you're going to do is vote for Democrats and we don't want a handout, we want a hand up.
Right.
Okay, the Democrats got it wrong. I've said when the Democrats got something wrong. I've also pointed out numerous times when Trump, because he really does represent the Republican Party. I could generalize the Democrats as a party, but really, right now at the helm of the Republican Party, is one person that really speaks, and he gets messaging wrong too. Now that the
absolutely.
fact that Democrats fixate on his wrong messaging has bit them in the ass pretty bad. Let's get past all that. We've got a
Absolutely.
president that says, I'm not. I see him more as a politician than he was in the beginning. I'm not knocking him. He very much is more of a politician than he was in the beginning, but he's still him. It's always been that philosophy. Let Trump be Trump. Let Trump be Trump. How do we make that work for America? That's my question. Not necessarily who bashed Trump, what there is to bash about Trump, how bad did the Democrats screw the pooch on a routine basis. That's not my discussion. My discussion is how, if we're here, we're there, we're now. He's the president elect. There's
I
no
will
doubt
I
about it.
will say one thing. I saw
Tracking.
a Democratic friend of mine, um, a female friend from high school who's a teacher in the state of Washington.
Okay.
Doesn't get much liberaler than that.
No, right. I'm
But
tracking.
she said, ladies, we've been here before. We made it through 4 years. We're gonna make it again. So let's
How
just
do we
move
make the
forward.
best of it, though, is my question.
It's gonna be
I'm not
very,
talking
I
about
think it's
just
gonna be
I'm gonna
very
make it.
prosperous.
I'm not gonna sell my house and live in a tent under I-4. I'm gonna make it. But how do we make the best of it? And how do we make the best of it for
If you
our
do, though, I'll
kids?
bring you some pinwheels from Publix because I know you like those.
I do like those. There's no doubt about it. I like everything Publix. Publix where shopping is a pleasure. Did you want to sponsor us, Publix?
Come on. Bucky's, Publix, Bubbly.
Right.
Buckley,
Absolutely. Lovely and delicious.
Um, so
Bucky's.
so first of
So
all,
here's my
so
feeling on
first of
how
all,
we
here's the question I have. Now the House and the Senate seem to have turned red also, by the way.
in small margins, but okay. But that gives
So how
Trump
do
the
we now become
opportunity.
bipartisan and we all work together? Because I watched an interview with Maxine Waters today, and all Republicans are racist. The white man is the devil, and I mean that's everything she said. And that's the Democratic Party. That's everything I've heard spewed. You guys now are going to take over my uterus. You guys are going to start killing us because we don't believe what you believe. And I'm going, there's nobody has ever said that. Just like everybody said, Trump said that he wanted Cheney put in front of a firing squad. He didn't say that. He said
Well, he
she
articulated that
could
message badly.
no, well, it
Yes,
was, I knew what he
really
said. I
badly.
know what he
Really
said.
badly. But Zach knew what he said. But you are also emotionally attached to him, which is fine because we haven't seen that often with a politician. But that message was not phrased well.
No,
I'll give
horribly.
Trump this much. And it's, he is obviously not my Lord and Savior. He is my president,
And
but
like I said, I'm not electing a religious leader. I'm
there has
electing a
been
political
no
leader.
other
Absolutely.
president. There's been no other president that I've been as passionate about.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. That's something.
And
So
I don't know why the guy just
there
you
is an
know,
irony there because the most president I was most passionate about and will be till the day
Jimmy
I
Carter.
die
I
would
know,
know
we know Jimmy
Jimmy
Carter.
Carter. And he was a great
Is he
Christian.
still
But
alive?
somehow we've made devoid of ourselves that he was a great Christian, but not a great politician, not a great president. But Trump is a great Christian and a great president, or not such a great Christian, but it's okay because he's a dysfunctional king. I'm not electing a spiritual leader. I'm electing a president.
Right.
And
We're not getting a new pope. We're getting a president.
no, and I love our Pope. I
Yeah,
Oh
me
love him.
boy.
He's
too.
a Jesuit. He's my
Yeah.
kind of guy.
Oh
I appreciate our father. Yeah, I appreciate it. But
But
boy, here we go.
I agree with both of you guys that it is our time, right? That our leadership that we have elected in this republic, that it is time for them as well as us to start going, okay, how can we make this work? How can we make this better? Because it's not me against you. This isn't a competition anymore. It's about how do we make the lives of our kids better? How do we make this place better than when we leave it better than we found it.
So
The little things are important, and we've got to stop it. The same people that are telling me I hate their daughters are the same ones that are asking me to accept a boy in my locker room with the girls. It's like, stop it, just stop,
but
y'all.
here's my
and you
feeling
know,
on
and
that.
I'm gonna agree with you on that, and I'm gonna get
Well, I'm
uh
going to agree with you on that too.
but
So let me just get.
get that in there. Thanks, Trippy. No, I'm gonna say something that you don't hear from me often. Um, I think here's what my hope is. The election is passed. Everything's
Yes,
done. There's going to be some rights who are going to be right in your face all day long. Trump, 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 Trump. There's going to be some lefts screaming and crying and yelling and shouting. All right, let's take those out of the void. My hope is with this new dream team that he's putting together, and it is called Make America Great Again. I say let's get rid of Make America Great Again. Let's just say Make America Greater because we already
Greater
yeah,
are
and
great,
greater.
yeah,
right? We're great. I'll
absolutely.
go with greater.
I'll take it.
Um, let's get rid of all. I'm gonna be flat and honest with you. Let's get rid of the bullshit. I'm tired of hearing about little Johnny wants to become a girl. Let's cut off his
Oh,
wang at 6 years old. Let's little Susie wants to be a boy, so let's start giving her testosterone at 7 years old. Let no, let's let kids be kids, learn and educate, and let them decide as adults. That's an adult decision. I'm 55 years old. There's some days I wake up and I just don't want to be me, but that's me, you know? I'm not going to go to the doctor right away and go, give me estrogen shots. I want to grow my hair back and boobs. Lorianne would probably have a major problem with that. But,
not for
you know,
nothing, but you're right.
yeah.
I think it would make the show bigger.
Right.
Oh,
I
hey,
see what
I'd
you
make a
did
really
there.
good, I'd make, look, I'm one ugly dude, but I'd make a hot chick. I tell you what.
Oh
You
no,
go,
I
boy.
don't visualize
It's
that
the
either.
beard. It's the beard, man. It's the beard.
I just think, let's let the states worry about the state stuff. Okay. We
Hmm.
all know where I stand on abortion. We don't have to get into that. Let the state worry about it. Okay. And Trippy, we've had the discussion. Medical abortion is totally different from recreational abortion.
But there was four exceptions, and I don't know where we're on all four though.
Anyway, let's focus on building this country back. Look, the 80s, let's go back to even further when everybody's driving a big freaking American made car and the
Oh,
dream
oh,
was to go buy your own house and have
yep,
the two and a half kids in the white picket fence and have the big
absolutely,
Buick in the front yard and
absolutely.
and mama didn't go to work because daddy made enough that she could stay home and take care of the family if she chose to. Lorianne's biggest, she'll tell you one of her biggest pet peeves is when they came out with hey, you don't need a man, you can go make your own bacon. That's when they started dissolving
Fry it up in the
the
pan.
family, that's right, the family nucleus started falling apart. Let's focus on that. Okay. I'm I've done some research, and I'm sure you have too, Daryl. The black teenagers growing up today, I forget the number. I want to say it's in the upper 50s, are fatherless, maybe higher than that.
Dude, it's higher than that.
Okay, I was being generous.
Yeah,
So,
you were being real generous.
so they're fatherless, and it's not because their dads got drafted and died at war. Their dads just
No,
They're
disappeared.
not
we
dads.
have,
Right.
and I
And
hate
but look, there's
that.
white dudes who are like this, black dudes, Hispanic dudes, everybody, but
Yeah,
the majority of the population that everybody cries about because they're in jail or this, that, or the other thing, grew up without a dad. They grew up with their grandma raising them, and a grandma couldn't handle them when they got to a certain age, and then they started living off the street. And then, Clancy the drug dealer is teaching them how to make that paper. And now
yeah,
I'm driving a Mercedes at 18 years old, and I got a fat, stack in my pocket, and I'm ready to go.
yeah, but you're dead at 25.
100%, or you're in jail
Yeah.
because you deaded somebody.
How many old gangsters you know? None. Not like street thugs.
There's some
You
there's
know,
some OGs out there,
Except for
but
Diddy. Except
yeah,
for Diddy.
he's not
yeah,
he's not oh Diddy
no,
ain't no
but
OG.
but
Diddy's a
no,
punk.
they found other ways to make their money, and I'm telling you guys, there we have the adults. It's time for the adults in the room to stand up. I think there's been a lot of people too quiet for too long.
Well,
And
I never heard of it more loudly said. My parents' generation were very, very staunch, hardcore, strict.
yeah,
Dad went to
discipline.
work. My dad wore a necktie. He was a school teacher. He wore a shirt and tie to work for
Yep,
40 years straight.
yep, absolutely.
Khaki pants, penny loafers, shirt and tie.
That's neat.
Sometimes in the winter he wore a sweater and no tie. So that was his get out of jail free,
Right.
wear a sweater.
Woo!
Um and my mom, and they raised me without they did not believe in sparing the rod and spoiling the child. They had no
Nope.
problem with it.
Yeah, yeah, no trouble.
Both my parents were school teachers. You know how much teachers make. We're all millionaires now.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and but we never went without. We never struggled a day in our lives. And that's one thing I learned from my dad was work ethic. Then my generation started having kids, and some of us, and I'll take some blame. We're like, I didn't like how my dad used to kick the crap out of me, so I'm gonna be a little softer on my kid.
Mm,
And
mm.
now, I not that I was soft at all the time, sure, but there was times he got his, my foot in his ass when he deserved it, and then there's other times that maybe I gave him a pass where my dad would have not. There was no pass, and my dad told me straight up until when I had my first kid, he wanted to let me know. He says, just now is when we can become friends. Up until then, I was your dad. And if I had a problem with you, I was letting you know. Now we can become friends because you're a father. And now you need to learn how to be a dad. And I used to laugh because my dad was so hardcore on me. And then my kids come around and he's a big softy. I'm like, but that's how it is. That's how I am.
Right, me
But
too.
now our children who may not have been brought up as strict as we were brought up because we didn't bring up our kids as strict are now trying to be best friends with their kids.
Right,
And that's the problem. There's no room for that. You cannot. I love my children, but we're not going out having beers together. We're not homies by any means. We can sit down and talk, we can goof off and laugh, but they know when the time comes, I got to put it down. I got to put it down. Whereas me and Jeff, if he gets out of line, maybe I'll get upset, but I'm not going to scold him. So
No,
Jeff's my friend. If Jeff
right.
was my son, it's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
It'd be kind of weird though. You're older than me, Jeff.
I,
I don't know how you'd be
you
able
know,
to keep.
I'm
I am
friend, you
older.
know, I know what you mean because I'm friends with my kids now, right? I mean, I'm absolutely, I am
Right.
friends with my kids. We sit on the porch and we have that beer, right? I mean, and we laugh and commiserate with about raising kids.
Right.
And but in that part is absolutely true. And I
But
see
now
that
they're
every
in their
day.
30s or late 20s, early 30s, or how old are
My
your kids?
kids,
Yeah.
my oldest is almost 40, and then my baby is 32.
So there, that's a different age.
See, I got a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Yeah, but your
Oh
12
yeah,
year old, your
yeah,
12
whole
year old, your
different group.
16-year old can't come up to you and be like, dude, listen, this is what's up, yo. And you're gonna be like,
Yeah,
I don't know who you're
No,
talking to.
no
but
cap,
one
no
thing,
cap.
Yeah.
but they have, and it's
Skibbity,
just another, it's just
Ohio, and
they have
I got
extreme
the Riz.
athletics in their life, so they learn discipline through that too. I mean, they're
100%. And you have, and well, I think your wife's a little stricter too.
she's strict. Oh, a little, jeez. Yeah.
I hear her yell at you and you go in the corner and cry. So,
But here, let me talk about something for a moment.
Yeah,
How are we going to get to a bipartisan moment in time and history?
no,
I
that's
think
the
the way
point
we're
I'm
going to
getting
get to
at.
it,
See, the problem is everybody's been so coddling and soft because, and I'm sorry, the Democrats have brought this nonsense in with the and look, Easter Sunday, the most religious Christian holiday, was turned into the transgender day at the White House. It's and look, if you want to be transgender, do your thing. My favorite movie is the Birdcage. It's hilarious, but it's not for
Robin Williams.
kids. You
Mm,
know, yeah, rest in peace.
God bless.
But we need to get past this because this isn't about running America. That has nothing to do with running America. America
no.
is a business. We need to
It
run it
is
like a business.
100%.
I couldn't walk into my boss's office and talk about, hey, I'm going to wear a skirt this weekend. What eyeshadow should I wear with? He'd be like, go make money. Get out of my office.
Yeah, what are you
Right?
doing?
Yeah, stop it. Or
So that was the point I was getting to was when I talk about my wife told me Elon Musk had a significant influence on Trump winning. And I said, I disagree. And then I
he
thought
might
about it.
have. I mean, he might
I think
have.
he did. And I said the reason young people came aboard is why I talk about Elon Musk and people talk about him in cars, people talk about him as a space shuttle guy or a spaceship
Yeah,
guy. He
yeah,
bought a simple company. He bought a simple machine. It's a boring machine. He calls it the boring company. He bores tunnels now, one of his companies. And now he was an engineer. He turned opening or building tunnels from say I heard the figure was like $80 million a mile. He's got it down to $1 million a mile, and he's getting into now tunneling for utilities. How do we make more kids engineers? How do we make more kids?
Well,
Uh,
not everybody wants to be an engineer, though.
well, no, but anything. How do we encourage kids to find what they're really searching for as far as being productive?
Well,
And
and that's a great question because so one of my biggest things, and I've said this, and maybe it sounds communist. I don't know. Every successful military country, mandatory, you go into the military for 2 years after high school. You get a trade, you get educated, you get discipline, right? Military was not a bad deal. I don't remember ever thinking this is the worst thing in my entire life. And and I'm sure you can attest to that, Daryl. But okay, don't make it military. How about you have to do a trade? If you can't get into college, you got to do a trade. We need garbage men, we need welders, we need plumbers, we need pipe fitters, we need street sweepers, we need ditch
bricklayers.
diggers,
Yeah, absolutely.
construction
how do we do
builders.
that though?
There are
We
kids
got.
out there.
I'm
There are
saying,
kids out there that don't even realize they have the talent until someone takes them by the scruff of their neck and say, I'm going to teach you wood shop. And next thing you know, the kid's a carpenter because he's a genius and he can visualize and build and cabinets. And next thing you got a successful cabinet maker. Not saying that's going to happen every day because there's also dodo heads are going to cut their finger off because they don't even know what they're doing. But there's got to be a way. You're right. Right now,
what is that way?
one
And
of the
now that
one
we
of the
got to break
Right,
frustrating
in,
right.
things
And I think
Lorianne
that is
Lorianne
what we
used to
got to
get
figure out.
Lorianne used to get very frustrated with the school was teaching to test. That's all. They weren't teaching
Absolutely.
for life.
Absolutely.
I
No, no.
love Trippy, your idea of teaching a kid how to balance a checkbook, how to change a
Oh,
tire. If I
how
went
to
outside, if I
valuable.
went outside and Jana had a flat tire, guess who's changing the tire?
Dad.
Guess who wouldn't even know where what a or spare was or where it was.
Right.
Right.
I'd be like, look at the
So
owner's
my point
manual.
is, we've got a new president, a brick and mortar guy. Or is that going to be what we're talking about? Is that going to be a part of his agenda? Because when you say, how do we get past bipartisanship? If he has some level of success, if he has some level of influence on a new positive way forward,
Well,
we're
hopefully
going
he's
to get
listening to
past
our podcast.
bipartisanship, huh?
Hopefully he's listening to our podcast and he'll get some
Hopefully.
ideas.
But if it's going to be the same old, I'm Donald Trump. I'm gonna cater to the very wealthy billionaires. I'm gonna pass another $1 trillion tax cut. That's not gonna close the chasm between Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah,
But
but
if
I
you
think
show, if you create a path for young people to find what they're looking for, what's happening now is often kids graduate high school and think the first thing I got to do is go to college. Okay, go to college. And what are you learning in college? Well, I haven't figured that out yet. Do you want to be an accountant? Not
how to
really.
tap a
Well,
keg
but I took
properly.
this and I don't like it. And I can't drop out simply because if I drop out, it's going to be a zero at this point. Well, how do we get past all? A lot of kids are going to Full Sail. It's funny to me because they say one of the when Full Sail every season when the beginning of the season there's lots of break-ins in the apartments around the Full Sail school because all the kids get new Apple computers and there's lots of break-ins.
And
And
muggings.
is that
Yeah.
what they really want? Do they really want to know how to produce this show? And you know what the problem with that is we produced it. Me and Zach figured it out on our own. So do we really
I
need
didn't
a
spend a hundred
million
thousand
more
dollars at Full
kids?
Sail.
Huh?
I didn't spend $100,000 at Full Sail, that's for sure.
Right. So how do we get past that? And
So
this is the
so and here
guy.
here's well here's what
I
I'm gonna
support this man if he's going to do something different than he did in his first term. I have no issue with him personally, but
oh
I
my gosh.
think
Hold
if
on.
if we
I'm
spent
having a
more
heart
time
I'm
trouble right
thinking
here.
about what we can do, uh, instead of, I think we spent 4 years of trying to find ways to discredit the president and not listen to him at all, but saying, no, you were on a bus 20 years ago telling us that you could grab some girl by her no-no spot, right? And all they were so concentrating on his locker room talk and on his on what he did, and all, they were so wrapped up into this that they would not listen, right? So it wouldn't matter. I don't care if Elon Musk comes up right now with a damn, I can turn lead into gold. There's going to be a 50% of this nation that says it's Elon Musk. He backed Trump. He can go pound sand. And we have
50%
to
though, but we have
find.
the other 50% to appeal to.
Absolutely. So now we have to say, look, how are we going to reach across? How are we going to reach across that aisle to say, look, we got a whole passel of kids back here that we have to get ready for life. We have to get them ready to do not only the plumbing jobs, but those engineering jobs. How are we going to get them ready? We got to find those math kids, those science kids, as well as those kids that are just going to hang my drywall, because I need them all. I need all of them, and they all matter. And none of the engineering kid has got to be as important as the countertop kid. And we have to say that's okay. We were like that 60, 70, 80 years ago, where we were having a block party and our grandpas were hanging out in the street, and they were working at the whatever mill or at the damn auto factory, or this one was a doctor. It didn't matter. They're all just drinking the same Miller beer on the corner. They didn't care. So
Right.
how do we get back to that point where they're not mad at you about who you voted for in the last election? We're not caring about that. All I care about is how is our kids doing? How can we make this place better? And I think we have lost sight of that, and we've got to get back to it.
Well, I 100% agree. Now, I'm going to really agree with you on that because I believe the 4 years that uh, Trump was in office the first time, they did everything. How many times was he impeached? How many
Charlie
times did they
Foxtrot, man.
Russia collusion, this, that, and the other thing? Instead of saying, hey, let's focus on something. And now this is a conversation I had with a buddy of mine who's a political guy like us. I said, why can we not get term limits on Congress and senators. And
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think we need to get rid of all the old bags. I don't care what side of the aisle are on, get rid of them all. And let's put some young blood in there. Look, JD Vance was a young guy. He got handpicked because he's smart as a crack. I mean, he's as smart as a whip. That guy is really like really
Not
good.
bad for a redneck, huh?
All right. And I look, and I know you're gonna have heart problems on this one, but the way AOC got into office, kudos to her. She's an idiot, but
I said that.
let's give her that much. But she did
No,
it.
give her a
eh,
lot for
No,
it.
you got to give her credit.
I
She's
do.
got the
I give her
angles,
credit.
baby.
But now she's turned into a buffoon.
Well, no, she's turned into a buffoon because she doesn't see things your way. But I give her credit 100%. I don't see things her way. But I give her credit 100% for getting out there with a clipboard and knocking on doors and getting the
Absolutely.
nomination and winning the
But
election.
what would happen to this country if we cleaned house and got fresh young blood in
Well, I
there
don't even
who
know that
had
it's an
great
option. So
ideas and dreams and visions for us and supported the president, both sides supported the president because he's the man in the office, he's the boss, so we'd have to support him instead of spending all of our stupid tax dollars on trying to impeach him on baloney.
well, I don't know that that's ever going to change. I'll tell you a little story about it. That probably never going to change.
Okay.
Congress gets their raises automatically. Judge Judge Roberts, Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts, right, every year in his annual report, why do I have to ask Congress for a raise? And Congress gets their raise every year automatically. So nothing changes as far as those things go. You're talking about the number one judge in the country saying, I have to beg Congress for a raise. Why can't we just fix that? Why can't we just make our raises automatic like Congress? Congress is not going to limit their own terms. They're
So,
not going to.
but we,
So
the
that's
people,
a,
should say that's enough. This is what we need to do.
we've got to focus on. So here's another point I'm going to make. When I'm saying, will Donald Trump be this president? This is the question. Will Donald Trump be this president? There was a time Microsoft used to bring people in from India, especially, to be computer engineers. The visa process became very difficult. It was a talent visa, became very difficult. So Microsoft built a campus in India
Right.
to have people work over there. Well, that campus is essentially just an IT campus for their work. But imagine if we built campuses like we all seem to maybe agree on, where kids spend their summer and try plumbing, try
I
cabinet,
love it.
try art. Who
That's a
knows?
damn
Franklin
genius
Delano
thought right
Roosevelt
there.
created jobs by painting murals in
Or
courthouses.
Absolutely.
what
And we
about
create these
like your school?
campuses. We spend that money, not $1.5 trillion tax cut on corporations that are already stashing $1.5 trillion in a four-story building in the Cayman Islands that's housing 900 corporation headquarters.
Right.
But we spend that next $1 trillion on these campuses, and we hire craftsmen to teach these classes. You know, Home Depot used to not consider their payroll by the hourly cost. They would only consider their payroll by the man hours because to pay a licensed electrician to show you what to do in the electrical aisle costs $30 an hour versus paying a cashier $12 an hour. So they didn't look at labor dollars, they just called everything labor hours. What would it take to hire these electricians? That Home Depot changed that entire policy. Now they're paying everybody the minimum they can. What would it what would it cost to build these campuses and pay those retired electricians to work in those campuses to teach our kids, not to teach our kids to be electricians, to start by saying, are you interested in being an electrician? Or moving them down the hall and saying, are you interested in being a plumber? And then moving them down the hall and saying, are you interested in being a contractor? Let's do some classwork on what it takes to be a licensed contractor. How about that, for example?
Well,
My question isn't that. My question is, will Donald Trump be that president? And
I
If
get
that's my
if
hope.
well,
Donald
what I
Trump,
was going to chip in on that one, I think that the staff that he surrounded him with, Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, he's got Joe Rogan now, who could probably teach a lot.
Well, I mean, Joe Rogan's like saying he's got Trippy and Zach and Daryl. I
He's
mean,
got
it's just a podcaster.
no, no, no. He's much more than a
He
podcaster.
was a part. He was a part of a famous family, and his podcast grew
No, 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 no,
incrementally.
no. Joe Rogan started out on MTV as a VJ, worked his way up, and he became like the biggest announcer on the UFC.
But that's not
And
a
Well, he's
significant
got
part of a
Dana.
presidential staff.
No, but he's there to put in his influence because he's an influencer. How many kids today want to be influencers?
Oh
Well,
man, the
and that's a part
rappers,
of the
NBA stars, influencers, man.
Yep.
They're
right. That's a part of that. That could be a part of that campus. Can you literally sit in front of a crowd and talk to them? Here, let's create
Right.
an auditorium.
well, we
Or
all know we
uh,
all know that public speaking is the number one fear in the world, right? Number two is like death, right? But number one is public speaking.
I'll go
Well,
with
and
small
Warren
spaces is
Buffett
more of
says
a
that if you can't communicate, you can't succeed. It's like blinking at
Absolutely.
a girl in a dark room. She's not going to get the message. I mean,
That's right. The look, I have because I have to make my plug. So I get to go to a charter school symposium for like the United States of America, and I get to present my model, right, of how our school works. Um, so I get like I don't know 70 minutes to stand in front of I don't even know who, just a bunch of people and present our model. And I think that's what most people need is just a shot, right? And I think if they'll give Donald Trump a shot, if they would give those Job Corps models a shot, where they're like, hey, look, if you come to our campus, and it's sort of like college, right? You come, you stay, you live, you stay here for 90 days, and we're going to teach you how to everything from medical building to coding to culinary to wiring to whatever. This is along your line, Zach, of you got 2 years to join the military. But it doesn't have to be the tip of the spear stuff, right? We don't have to go shoulder that weapon. But what we need to do is maybe put these kids like on this Job Corps campus and say, hey, look, we're gonna put you here, and no, you can't go home. But while you're here, we're going to make sure that you have your high school diploma, that you can friggin' read. You'll be surprised, maybe you wouldn't, about the number of 11th and 12th graders that I get that read on a fifth grade level. And they've just been
100%.
passed along
Well,
and passed along. It's
well,
crazy, man. We
it is. It's
but
terrible.
get them to do something, right? Get them to be active, and then they can take care of themselves. And not only can take care of themselves and be self-sufficient, but dude, they can do well. They can make six figures. They can make better than that if they just have somebody show them the way. We need more shepherds and less, we need those influencers. We need those shepherds and less people that just sit back and bitch.
Right.
Anybody can sit back and bitch. I need somebody that's going to get out there and do the work, right?
We
I'm
don't
bringing
need a
something
keyboard
to the
warrior. We
table.
need someone to do stuff.
and I
Absolutely.
think,
And
and
I
that's
think
my
now
hope
here's the
is.
question for you for your school. Something like your school, like you're talking about. A Monday through Friday school that not only kind of like Votech. Do you remember we had what was
Yeah,
called Votech?
absolutely.
So you go to school in the morning, you learn your reading, writing, you got to get your basics so you
Absolutely.
can get your diploma. But the afternoon, you're focused like,
Dude, you're on your job.
yeah, my best friend went to Votech for auto body work. He's not an auto body guy, but that's what he did for a long time.
Hmm.
And Maxine, our second oldest girl, she went to Votech for cosmetology, and
Is
and
she the flight
esthetician.
attendant?
Yes, yes.
Because she's my superhero.
She's also a realtor. Yeah, she's a flight attendant and a realtor. She's doing really well. But I mean, so funny you say that. Lorianne is building her school, and she is bringing kids in from the public school where the parents are baffled, beside themselves. Let me use all the B's: befuddled, bewildered, when they test their kids who are gifted, super smart kids in the public school, and they're supposedly going into sixth grade and they can't barely read or do math on a second grade or third grade level.
That's right.
Right.
And my wife's like, sorry, we're gonna have to keep them back,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're this is the public school. This is what's supposed to be giving our American children their education. And it's become, and I know you want to argue with me on this one, Jeff, but Lorianne will tell you it's become a breeding ground for other than school. I'm not going to go into details. We won't
No, I'm
talk
not going to
about
argue with you.
we
I'm
won't talk
saying,
about the drag queen reading hour or anything
Oh,
like
I
that.
no, I never argued that point. What I argued was, is it a federal agenda? And my point has always been, no, it's a state level
I
agenda.
mean, I agree with you on that. That's not a
And
problem.
then
Just like
that's when we come into Kamala's going to have drag queen shows in every library. Well, Kamala, whether she was elected president or was vice president for 4 years, never had a say in what show goes in what individual library.
yeah.
So we've
True.
created this storyline essentially that Democrats have promoted these things on a national level, and it's not a national movement. Now the
no, no,
Democratic
no, no.
Party
If
has
they're
endorsed it as your right to be this person.
if they're endorsing it on a national level, then the state level might go, "Ooh, let's latch onto that."
They may, but nonetheless, you don't see it in certain states, and everybody in America has the option of moving to another state. I mean, there's people working from home that don't even show up in their office but once every 3 months,
I
and
would
that
love a job.
person
I
can
would love that
relocate
job.
to Dothan, Alabama, and be in the most conservative part of the country if they like, and still maintain a job that they have, and at the expense of $200 on Spirit, go back to the office every 3 months.
Can
So
you
there's a
can you
lot
tell
of
me what those jobs
options.
are? I would really like one.
Well, I don't have the abilities because I would really love to work from home too.
Dang
Right,
But
it.
right, absolutely. I was gonna say,
I
Dad,
was getting
no,
excited
man.
there for a minute. Mean I don't have
but
to
you know
talk to
what
people?
though? Let me tell you. When I create this imaginary campus that talks about, let's talk about this imaginary campus having a flight attendant seminar or a attendant understanding class. Do you know what goes into being a flight attendant? And they
Oh
keep
man,
adding to it. But now flight attendants are expected to recognize or being taught on a brief basis how to recognize human trafficking. Can you
absolutely.
can you imagine if we actually did it on a bigger scale, if we actually did it on a more professional scale, if we actually did it on a more disciplined scale, if we actually introduced young people to flight attendant and said, is this something that interests you? And this is something that goes along with it. And if you decide to
Oh,
somehow
excuse me.
navigate your way through high school, then you decide to come to flight attendant vocational school, and we can assure you that if you graduate, you'll get a job with an airline. And is this something that really interests you, and understand what that job comes with? Free travel benefits, whatever it is, insurance, a nice lifestyle of sorts. These are kids leave high school with the notion that the next thing to do is go to college, with the notion that the next thing to do they're going to find success. But what
Mm,
generally happens is, and I always tell the story, I once had a friend that told me about her son's girlfriend that was this amazing college student, amazing athlete, got a free ride for everything to Florida, which is just this huge task to
yeah,
accomplish that. And
no
she said, "What do
doubt.
you think she'll choose?" And she had a minor and a major. I said, "I think she's going to wind up being a bartender." And we all laughed, but the fact of the matter is, it's not that far. It's not that far a stretch. That
Right.
kids are doing all these things and then have no idea what to do next after they
Well,
get that diploma.
do you watch Charlie Kirk? Either of you?
No.
No, sorry.
You got to look him up. He's one of Lorianne's favorites, but his biggest thing, he goes to college campuses and talks to kids,
Okay.
and his biggest promotion is college is a waste of time. The only reason you should go to college is for a specific, I'm going to school to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer.
Lawyer.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
going for liberal
Engineer.
arts. What the heck does a liberal arts degree get you?
Nothing.
Yeah,
But I think kids make that decision out of the air, a
Well, yeah,
random
but why
thought.
why not tell your kid who's on the fence about school anyway, go, all right, well, what do you want to do? Instead
Yeah.
of
Well,
putting
I
a gun to their
agree.
head saying you got to go to college, say, what do you want to do? Well,
Other than
we did that with John. You coach, John. We
Yeah.
did we did that with John. He had college paid for. They did the college prepay. John was never going to college. He's just not that kid. What do
Mm,
you want to do, John? Well, I don't like people. Okay. So what can you do to make money that has nothing to do with people? I'm going to become a welder. Perfect. Let's go become a
absolutely.
welder. He's been welding now. I don't even know how many years.
Dude, he's been out of my
Four,
class a long time.
4 or 5 years, I guess. He's been welding. and he makes 25 to $30 an hour. He
Yep.
works his 40 hours a week. That's it. That's all he wants to work. He does, he does that. And I mean, what kid at 20, how old is it? 24 is making 52 grand a year,
Rock on, bud.
benefits, 401k, all that stuff, right? And then his cousin saw that he enjoyed welding as much as John did and went and got his welding certificate. Then one step further, joined the welding union and is now on the road welding. They send him all over the country to work, and he makes anywhere between 60 and $70 an hour. Now, John didn't want to do that because he didn't want to go on the road because he got to work 14 hours a day. He's like, that's too much. But hey, good for him. But his cousin's out there making bank. He's making 100 grand a year, right?
But
So
John
you
could have
do
got.
that. You could have done that. Absolutely. All you got to do is go get your welding union card and you go anywhere in the country and you make and if the pipeline gets reopened,
I was
they're
just
gonna
gonna say that.
they're
Here
gonna
you
be
go on the
paying
Keystone Pipeline.
they're gonna be paying welders 150 bucks an hour, and they're gonna need them. But you're gonna go have to live in South Dakota and you're gonna have to live in bad places for a little while. But if I'm
South Dakota's
22
not a
years
bad
old,
place, man. Don't let them
it's
fool
just
you.
it's just cold as a witch's tit in the
Cold,
winter.
right?
Oh
Oh
boy.
yeah, right. Get a jacket.
But yeah, big jacket,
Get
4 or
one of
5
those
jackets.
battery operated heated jackets.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
But if
I
I'm
would,
if I'm 25, 24, 22 years old, don't have a wife or kids or anything like that,
Absolutely.
why not go on the road for a year or two, stash away a bundle of money and go do it. And just, if that's the career you want to do. Then do you remember Quan, the duct man?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely I do.
So he would go to Daryl and Lorianne's old school, Lee Academy in Lake County. He was the air conditioning
The
guru for
AC
Lake
guy.
County. Yeah, the AC guy
Absolutely.
for Lake County. His company's called Duct Man. And I'm not doing a promotion, but I'm just getting it so you can understand what I'm saying. Not
Yeah,
duck,
yeah.
quack, quack, but Duct Man. And he would do a scholarship. I don't know how much he gave, but whoever won the scholarship had an internship with his company,
Right.
and if they liked it and he liked them, they had a
He'd
job, and
hire them.
he'd teach them how to do air conditioning. Do you know that air conditioning will never go out of business in Florida? Everybody
no.
has air conditioning. You have to. You'll die. When
You'll,
our AC broke, when was it? Last Labor Day, or was it Memorial Day? Whichever one. Anyway,
Ooh.
I remember at one point in time it got to be 97 degrees in the house.
Dude, in the house?
And we had all the
that's
windows open,
ridiculous. I
fans
would stay at
blowing.
Motel 6 that night.
Yeah,
You can't. I
absolutely.
had the dogs. I can't take them.
Oh,
Oh,
So me,
damn.
even the dogs were miserable. I mean,
Oh
they were
probably.
yeah.
going
Dude,
outside to
they're
cool off,
baking.
you know? And I thought how horrible this is. And then I actually thought, wow, I'm being selfish because there's people who live like this, all the time and year round, and they're
Hey,
used to it.
whatever, but I have a job and Motel 6 is right down the road. So
So,
not for
and you know
nothing.
what? I can't see them people from my window. So I looked outside and they weren't there. So I didn't care. I felt bad for a minute.
Yeah,
I
okay.
gotta have a
I'm
pinch of,
tracking.
I gotta have a pinch of whatever. So, but I mean, I called around. I have a warranty on the house. Well, we don't do emergency calls on the weekend. It's not, bad. I'm talking to a guy in the Philippines. You can hear the chickens in the background. I'm just like, dude, it's probably 97 degrees in your house, but that's normal
Right,
for you,
absolutely. But this
right?
is America, God bless it.
Eh. And so I finally, I go to my neighbor who lived across the street. He's since moved, but I talked to him. I said, "Hey, isn't your uncle an air conditioning guy?" I said, "Can you text him?" He said, "Yeah." Guy came out on a Sunday. It was a small little compressor piece that needed to be replaced. I actually bought an extra one on Amazon and I have it in the garage so I know where it is and what it is. And when it goes that bad, I'm fixing it next time.
You know how to do it?
Yeah, he showed me how.
Dude, I'm calling you next time I need
And
some.
Yeah.
and he told me, he says, this job normally, because it's a Sunday holiday weekend, he goes, just for me to show up is 250 bucks.
Dude,
Just for me to show up. Get this moth
you're
out of my
being you're
face.
being dive bombed.
I am. Did you see the moth? It was
I
attacking me.
did.
I'm like Godzilla, Mothra. Um, anyway, and he goes, and he just charged me for the part. He owns the company, so he's like, look, he charged me 200 bucks, labor, part, everything. But just if it had been one of his employees coming out just to show up before they diagnosed it, anything, it was 250 bucks. and then it would have been another whatever labor and parts were, and I'm sure he didn't jack me. You know what though? When we just redid the house for Lorianne's birthday and Christmas for the rest of her life present, um,
For the
I
rest
called
of
him up.
your life. Girl, you better live a long time.
You better enjoy this forever.
Right.
Forever.
Hey, look, your mansion in heaven, we got it here on earth. We're taking it with
Right?
us. They
Gold
say
street.
you you
Ah,
can't you can't take nothing to heaven. I already made the call. I said, look, I got a house. We put a lot into it. Can we bring it, please?
right. We
But
just gonna bring this.
but I called the guy, and because he treated me well, I'm using him again. So we had the air conditioning. He did a bunch of work here. I told my contractor, I said, look, he's moving the duct up here. He's doing this, moving, doing that. And he goes, well, how much is he going to charge you? I said, 650. He goes, dude, I need to have that guy come work for me. Because
Yeah, that's
actually
not
that was,
bad.
I didn't know it was expensive.
Good.
I thought it was expensive. I said, this is expensive. He said, no, that's
Expensive.
cheap. That's expensive.
Expensive.
So that's what I'm getting at. There's got to be kids out there who can do AC work. Look, our youngest Ash, he's a hard worker. I think he can do so much more, but he loves to work in the dirt. If that kid
God
doesn't,
bless him.
if he doesn't get sweaty and dirty, he
I
doesn't
mean,
have a
does he
good
like
day.
drive a bulldozer? What does he do?
He's a he does landscape, tree work, everything.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would love for him. He can work all that equipment. He knows how to work skid steers and he's taught himself how to work cherry pickers and lifts and all that stuff. And I mean, he loves it, but he puts a price. He says, I do not go out to work unless I'm making $200 for the day. I
That's
said,
awesome.
good for
Yeah,
you.
dude, get after it.
Right. And he does okay. A matter of fact, I hooked him up with a gig. He's going up to North Carolina to work up there at a resort for a week, doing landscaping for a friend of mine.
And he's a young dad, right?
Yeah, he's got another one on the way too. He's
Oh Lord.
he's living up to Lake County standards.
How
God
many does he
bless
have?
him.
Did I just say that out loud?
You did.
How many
There's
kids does he have?
Coraline and then the new one, the baby that's on the way.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
nice.
this will be baby number two. We know if it's a boy baby or a girl baby.
Girl. And I believe
Another
I believe
girl.
her name's going to be Avery.
Oh,
Avery.
Yeah.
that's sweet.
Well,
That's
you remember
beautiful.
Ash.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I had him in my class.
Speaking of construction workers, do you remember Corey Palmer?
Maybe.
He went to a Lee. That's where I met him from. He was dating
Okay.
a girl named Mercedes, I think her name was.
Oh wait, there was only like one Mercedes. So yeah.
Corey, skinny white dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a good kid, got a heart of gold. Well, he's a construction worker. He was out on the job. He got now this is the problem with manual labor. You have to be ready for the hardship of it. He got run over by a skid steer. He lost his leg.
Are
Oh,
you kidding me?
Terrible, right? But he's already making plans to better himself, go back to school and get an education because now he's going to be disabled for his life. He lost his leg, but
Yeah.
he's going to get a prosthetic and he's going to, move on. He's going to go teach himself something and go make money a
Dude, that's
different way.
mindset. That is
Yeah.
100% mindset.
And I
yeah.
thought about it and I was just like, well, good for you because how many kids would have been, oh well, I lost my leg now, I'll just live off the government. That's the mindset we got to break. That's I think the whole moral of that whole story was what I was getting at in a
Yeah.
roundabout way. I go
We
around the
also
mountain.
have to we have to somehow get to the point to go, you know what? We all want the same thing. We got to get back to that. We all want a nice house. We want to be able to sleep with and not have a gun underneath our pillow. We want to have
That's
a
always
wife.
going to be under my pillow.
Well, I mean, well, that's just a choice.
I cradle
But
my AR every night.
okay, well, whatever keeps you warm and comfy. I mean, I'm not mad. My wife says I should start my own museum. The
I love
so
it.
but we have to get to that point, right? We just I don't know. We'll
So do you think, here's the question for both of you, libertarian,
yep.
leftitarian, leftifarian. Do you think two questions. Number one, we go with the cold turkey effect. Maybe we got to spend a little money to find out who actually needs and deserves the money, and everybody else yank that check. You have the next 6 months to find a job because you're not getting paid anymore. Number one. Number two, do you think it's the government's responsibility to step in and build these schools and make the kids do that? Or is that going to be the state or privateers?
So I'll take it first. No, it's not the government's responsibility, but there's 1,000 options, including charter schools or charter life academies. They don't have to. There's also, like Daryl said, there's a scheduling issue. That life academy could be 2 months long. The kids could literally do it during the summer. And if this, what happens is you got this giant campus that's only being used 2 months a year. You can do six
Keep them
rotations,
rotating.
six
Absolutely.
rotations. You can do that.
You know, I
So would
actually
that
went to go
be
look at becoming a truck driver.
and a charter school agenda,
You need it.
creating that imaginary campus that I call it right now, and creating more than one. One of the things Daryl said is he's got this incredible approach, but where do we get the teachers? Uh, that kind of imaginary charter, that kind of imaginary campus that I'm talking about doesn't take as many teachers as a teacher in every classroom. I'm
Right.
talking about getting retired electricians, retired plumbers, retired everything,
Dude, don't
retired.
forget about our military veterans.
We're
Dude,
talking
you
about
could
the
recruit
benefits.
those guys and they would
Right.
be awesome.
Right. So then you've eliminated the issue of how do we get so many teachers when we don't even have enough teachers. So you've sort of eliminated that. And then you create the
But is
charter
this just a
school.
trade school or is this going to be a
No,
school
it's a
where they can
life
get their
life lesson
GED?
like Larry called dropping life on them. Just
Okay,
Yeah,
give
so
them.
absolutely.
so they're not going to get their GED or diploma. They're
No, they're
going to get a
just going to
trade.
Oh,
understand more,
let's teach
have a
them something that's
clearer
going to make them some
idea.
money.
Right. Well,
Right.
my problem is if you go online and you want to look at a trade school nowadays, most kids get turned off because it costs too much money.
Well, there's another thing.
That's what I was
There's
getting at.
another.
I looked to go get my tractor trailer license. This is years ago. I wanted to be a truck driver.
All right.
It was like a not even a week long course that they'll get you through the test, the CDL, everything, train you to become a truck driver. It was like 5 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Six.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably just so why as a kid when I can go do whatever I do, or I got to go pay for a trade
Well,
school
there's
that
student loans options for all sorts of education. So
how about no? How about we make it so it's affordable?
affordable
Affordable.
or
How about the
uh,
Affordable School Act?
could be, could very well be, or the Available School Act, because that would make school available to everybody in every type of school.
Let's make school great
But
again.
so yeah, I think it's the government's job. It could be a partial government, partial private sector. The charter school initiative that's worked really well, and in really every model, the charter school initiatives have worked really well. So what was the other part of the question?
Is it time to do the tough love and rip the band-aid off and go out
No,
and
that's
find
not
out?
going to work. You're not.
No.
No, no. You're going to have 12 million people, 12 more million people than you already have on the streets. There's
Yeah.
no,
No, that's no good.
no.
No.
You've got to get
How
to
do
a
you
point
get how
where
do you get them
It's
to wean
crazy. I'm a
off?
libertarian and I don't like to pay taxes for nothing, but I tell you, there's just at some point you have to understand that there are still some people who are going to require some extra help, and I get that.
I got
And
no,
this
but
is
I don't
what
have a problem with those people.
and this is what happened, y'all. I mean, we all know what happened. We used to take care of each other 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Churches, organizations took care of our own, right? So if you lived in this city, you lived in this county, we had all the churches together, we had all these little organizations together, and we took care of little the Johnson family because we know the Johnson family struggling right now. And we took care of them. And then what happened? The government said, you know what? We're big enough now where we can take care of the Johnsons in Kansas and the Thomases over in Pennsylvania. And what happened was churches and there's little organizations and even look, you go all the way back. You can even look back at the Black Panthers when they first started. They were about helping Black people be successful. It
Right.
wasn't about all this Afrocentric foolishness. No, it was about helping people be successful, right? This was a time before segregation or desegregation, excuse me. And so then the government stepped in and said, no, we can be your church, we can be your helpmate, we can be your, and then as it turns out, they can't, right? we are trillions of dollars in debt and we still can't help everybody we need to help. This is why we have wounded warriors. Hell, we got veterans out there who still have to go to other agencies when they should just go to the VA, right? No, I don't ever go to the VA. Zach, do you go to the VA?
VA is
Hell,
garbage.
hell no, it's garbage. I ain't going, right? Or I don't feel like waiting 6 months to go get a physical.
Right.
No, that's garbage. So so we have to find that way to get our communities back involved with our communities. We also have to find out how do we wean these people off of the government teat. You
That's
said
what
that,
I'm
right?
saying.
So
Yeah,
how do
but you
we?
said cold turkey
Well,
or
I
wean them
said,
off.
how
No,
can we
we
do it? Not
we
cold turkey.
can't.
How do we do it?
Cold
Because
turkey, no.
crime,
Wean them
no,
off is
because
yeah.
crime would go up, people suicide rate would go up. No, no, that's just no. We just can't do that. There'd be too many people hurt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You're,
just
I mean,
it
I
may
agree.
be
That's
I'm
why,
too it
that's
may
why I
be I'm
asked.
too soft, but I'm just saying no.
I
I
mean, I was going to
can't.
say it could be a way to thin out the herd, but that's sorry.
No, see, no, I like my herd.
I like the herd just the way it
You
is.
Yeah,
know
I
That's
what?
like
fine.
my
Do you know
herd.
what one of the greatest communities is? Not that we all could live like
Are
that
you
where
going
we
to tell
want
me
to.
about my Amish brothers?
I am.
I knew it.
Dude, have you ever seen them put a barn up?
Dude, they are the best.
In a day, they throw a whole barn up, an
And
18,000 square foot barn, and there it goes.
straw hats. Yeah,
Amazing. But
same
no,
shirt.
obviously, I mean, I'm not going to live without electricity, and I'm not going to live,
Well, here's the thing. I was just going to say something about that. As much as I love the Amish community, I met an Amish kid when I was working in a restaurant, and he said whenever they needed a ride, they didn't have a car, but they would go get a neighbor to give them a ride.
Yeah, they
So they're
do. Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's not exactly
No,
a
but no,
hundred
no, 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 no,
percent.
no. They're allowed to be in electricity and be in cars. They just can't operate it. So
Right.
like I was working for a company and we customer needed a gazebo and I found this gazebo online. It was Amish made from Lancaster, PA, where my mom lives. Shout out to Mama Zach. Um and
Nothing but love.
and so
Hi, Mama
they
Zach.
wanted
We
it.
love
They
you.
yeah. Got it shipped down here and I got to talking to the guy. And
They shipped it.
I said, hold on, hold up, hold up. First of all, you guys are an Amish company online. And the guy starts laughing. He goes, the Amish own the company. They do all the work, they build it. They hire non Amish to run the computers, turn the lights on and off, you know, do everything that they can't do, but that they actually make the gazebos and all the chairs and benches and everything else they made. Everything else was done by non Amish. And I was just like, is that like a gray area in their
Is it a
beliefs?
loophole? There's a
Is that a
loophole.
loophole?
There's loopholes. Yeah,
But
lots
do
of
you
them.
do you do you Trippy used to be Jewish. Um,
How do you
when
used to be? Wait, there's
he
a
got
story
converted,
there. How do you used
he
to be?
got
No,
converted.
I told the story one.
Yeah.
I it really started with Pope John Paul II, and then from then on, I just loved Christianity. So that was the route I
I
went
But
got
down.
you
But
behind
do you
that.
remember during
JP2, I call
what
him.
is the
Oh,
festival? Anyway,
Collective.
there's one where like on Friday nights when it's Shabbat Shalom, they can't that's when they can't use electricity for the weekend and
But
all
they
that.
leave the lights on.
Or they have their non-Jewish friends come over and shut the light off.
Right.
They can't
But
flush the toilets,
it's
they can't do
not
anything.
right. Well, it,
No,
it
that's
depends.
I'm not talking about you Jew. I'm talking about the Hasidic Jew.
But there's all these.
You were like, maybe I went to the synagogue once. I had a pastrami sandwich one time. I'm Jewish.
I, I,
Who
it
is
was
Jewish, your
never
mother or your father?
the both of them.
Oh yeah?
The
Is your mom
both of
still
them.
Jewish?
it,
Yeah.
it has to be because it's a maternal religion. It's
Yeah.
passed down by the mom.
What is
Yeah.
did she kick you out of the house because you wear that cross?
Boy, vey.
Hey, vey.
No, she's okay with it. Or
I
she's
know.
not. She hasn't expressed anything on the subject,
She's a
so
Jewish mother. She's heartbroken. Are you kidding?
she might be.
My
I
grandmother used to tell me when I was a kid, I had I grew my grandparents were Italian. Like my mom's mom and dad were off the boat from Italy. And we'd be sitting outside playing stickball on the
Your
street.
name's Zakaluk.
That's
How the
that's
hell?
that's
Where is it? Where, it doesn't even end in a vowel. You're
that's
not.
that's
You're
my
not
dad.
Italian.
That's my dad. My mom
Okay.
was a Loprinzi.
Okay.
Hello, Prinzy. There you go.
There you go. There's the
There's the
vowel
Yep.
vowel.
again.
There's the
Capital
vowel.
LO, capital PRINZI.
Jeez. Four
Anyway,
capitals in
which
one last
stands
name.
for the prince. But anyway, we'd be out on the stoop, and she says, you know, this neighborhood, it's a diverse neighborhood. It's the Jews and the Italians. And I said, okay. She goes, but do you know how to tell the difference between the Jewish grandmothers and Italian grandmothers? Because they're all bubbies, they all sit and hang out.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I said, Grandma, I do not. She goes, other than their last name, Weinstein and Loprinzi, obviously.
Yeah.
She says the Jewish grandmas make matzo balls, the Italian make meatballs. That's the only difference. The rest of them, they all sit out there and they
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
get back
Kibitz.
and forth.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Are
everything
you
is
sure
woe
they
is
said
me.
Lo Prinzy was the prince or the princess? Because this came from your mom and your
Oh,
grandma.
yeah. Good call. I'm
My
tracking.
grandfather, Charles Loprinzi.
Okay. Okay. I just want
Oh,
clarity. I just wanted
I
clarity.
would let I would
yeah.
let him know if he was still alive. He'd come whoop your ass. He was a
I
big
just
man.
heard the grandma and the mom.
He was a big man. My grandfather, he was the
I was
guy
worried.
who came over and was supposed to be part of the family,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he opted to go a different route, and he became a pastor, a street pastor, and he worked with the gang kids. And there was a guy in the 50s and 60s who started a thing called Teen Challenge, and he used to
Oh,
work.
I've heard of Teen Challenge
Yeah, well, David Wilkerson and
I've
my
heard of that
grandfather
too.
started it in Brooklyn.
with Cruz or something,
Nicky
right? Nicky
Cruz
Cruz.
from the Mau Mau's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see,
my
I'm not one
grandfather, my
church.
grandfather knows Nicky Cruz very well, or
I
knew
thought he
him.
was dead.
No, Nicky's down in Miami now.
He's in Florida.
He's in Florida.
Florida.
You know what a
Florida.
fine New York Jewish wine is?
Let's make a
I
reservation.
want to go to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh,
I
there
want to
you
go to
go.
Boca. Anyway,
I was
so but
thinking the
the
whole
long story short was my grandfather came over. He did that. He became a street minister, worked with the kids, got the kids like like looking back, we were hanging out with some dregs of life, gangbangers and everything back in the day. And
Yep.
if my grandfather was around, you were the safest kid in town. They didn't even curse in front of my grandfather. But what happened to that family? Every Sunday we were at my grandparents for Sunday supper after church. We drive from Jersey to Brooklyn, or if it was a holiday or sometimes a Saturday, we'd be at my dad's parents' or mother's house. They having a barbecue or a picnic.
Yep.
It was always family. Every
Absolutely.
day we had dinner at the same time. You were expected to be at the dinner table, and there
No
was
TV. No, there
no
was
phone.
no
There wasn't
nothing.
phones.
No,
There was
no.
the phone, the rotary sitting over there. And if it
Yeah, over
rang, my
there.
father, my father would say, "Let it ring. They'll call back."
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And dinner was a salad, a vegetable, a meat, and then
Yep.
dessert. Had to have
Yeah.
dessert, every meal. And what happened to that? I remember when we adopted Ash, first time we had family dinner, he didn't even he didn't even know how to react. He'd never been in that situation before.
See, that's wild to me.
Kids sitting out, they all go in their bedrooms and eat, or they're watching TV or playing video games. And that's the one thing that I really would like to get back to. And I'm at fault. If I have a phone at the table, I might be scrolling through. I need to put it down. And,
I am.
there are people who actually, I have friends who go out to dinner and everybody piles their phone in the middle of the table. Whoever touches their phone first pays for everybody at the table.
Yeah, I watched that once and the guy had an iWatch and he said it didn't count though.
Let me tell
One
you
of the ones
what.
My
to
You tell you
my
what, Trippy,
my
being
oldest
being
my
as
oldest
Jewish
has
as
a
I should be.
basket that when you come in the front door, you put your electronics in that basket because we are here to grill and chill. Leave your shit over here, right? Leave it in the basket because we are here to socialize and talk to the people who's around you. Leave your stuff over there.
I, li-
Yeah,
I like I
nice.
like the restaurants you go into and says, no, we do not have Wi-Fi. Make this like 1970 and talk to your family.
absolutely.
How do we get back to that? Now, is that obviously that's not big government's problem, but it trickles down from the government who would start setting the standard of right now, I believe I believe actually we showed yesterday in the election, because we're going to get back to the election results because I haven't rubbed it in enough yet.
Jesus.
But we showed yesterday was not as split as everybody wanted us to believe.
I want whether the election results get rubbed in my face every day for the next 4 years. I want to see results.
Right.
I saw results,
That's me. You give me
313
results,
electoral
I'll give
votes.
you thank you. I'm happy with that. But like I said,
Well,
we're
but
talking about getting
how do we okay, so how do we
get back
get
to the
the
family. I was going to try and
results?
answer that.
How do
Huh?
we get the results when we can't even get along as family all the way up to
I was going to try
Congress?
and answer that. If we do more for the people that are left without fathers, if we do more for the idea of success, for the notion that you can succeed under any circumstance, if we do more for that, just like we talked about, we just created some initiatives during this one podcast. And during those times when we're doing more of that, we have those kids sit down together and have a meal together, and we have a basket at the front of the dining hall with the cell phones being left behind, and they communicate with one another, not the cell
I
phones
would
and the
put them in
TikToks.
lockers and lock them like you
And
guys did at
then
a league.
and yeah, and then well,
You
Daryl's
got to
got
keep them safe. I
lockers.
mean, because people be
Right,
stealing
right.
And
stuff.
Daryl's got lockers.
we
It'd be a little
lock them
different.
up. We lock them up in lockers. I let them hold the key though, so it helps with that separation anxiety.
Right.
And we do more of that. That's a good way to get started to answer your question,
Well,
to
I
make
will tell
people
you this
realize.
much. I have a black friend. I have many black friends, but I have a specific one that I'm talking about right now. Him and his two brothers are very successful. And you know what? Every Sunday they go to their mom and dad's house and have lunch with them
So you have a
because
friend that goes to lunch with his mom and dad.
they grew up with a father. And I believe you're successful. I'm successful. We're all successful because we all grew up with fathers. Now, is there kids out there who are successful who didn't have dads? Sure. But
But if they
what's the
don't have
majority the
dads,
other way?
how can we fill that void on a in a bigly way? How can we fill that void? How can we make up for some of that? How can we create that imparting life lesson that would have came from a dad that was non-existent? Because what happens is kids that don't have a dad, don't have anything to replace any part of that in his life, wind up either wanting to be a great basketball player and not getting there, and then giving up on life in general, fundamentally, and joining a gang. How can we change that? And the way we
Well,
can change that.
I'll never forget. First time I saw Pastor Joe, he did a message about, he's a big, he's kids, he's very kid driven, and he
I
had
love that guy. Just not
yeah,
for nothing. I just love that guy.
he's an
He's
awesome guy.
awesome. He's awesome.
We had him on the show. We're gonna have to have him back. Um,
All of us.
he did, and you can ask him. Forgive me if I say it wrong, but he had a kid in a suit and a kid in a prison outfit,
Okay.
and he said they're gonna go one way or the other, but when they get to this age, it's too late. So we have to start at this age. And then they showed the kids, they weren't in the suit and tie anymore, the prison outfit. It was little kids. He said, this is where we have to make the impacts so they don't go that way.
So
And
are we going to do something about that on this next presidential watch?
I don't know. Let me call Don and ask him.
Here and I'm gonna show my country roots, I guess, at this point. But it may be at my age. When are we gonna go back to the time when ladies don't bang that boy because he's got good hair? Why don't we start being a little more selective? Gentlemen, when are you gonna, you think that being a man is popping in that freaking false grill and sagging your pants and carrying a gun? When are you gonna get away from that?
Right.
Because we need to when are we gonna identify that being a man is not toxic? It's not toxic. You can be a man, you can run your house, you can be a father to your kids and run your house, but now it has become so, and I know, boy, God, I'm sorry, guys, you probably never have me back, but it has become so mishmash where women can do anything. Boys, you just be boys. Put on your eye makeup and rock, boy, and do whatever. That the roles have blended so much that when we're begging for men, we're begging for fathers, we're begging for leadership, and nobody can step up because we're so worried about offending somebody. We're so worried about what somebody else is thinking. We're so worried about that child may not be my friend if I tell him not to be a dick. We're gonna, we have to get away from that point. Men, I blame you for being called out and not being men.
Right.
You know what? I don't care. They're your kids. Yes, that girl slept with you because you had good hair, but that does not alleviate you from the fact that you created a child, and that child is yours, and you have to raise that baby. So now at that point, you got to man up. I mean, they call it manning up or cowboying up or whatever it is, but that's what you have to do. You have to raise that next generation. We can blame Trump. We can blame the government. We can blame the left. We can blame the right. But it's the disintegration of the family unit that has caused us to be where we are today. It has nothing to do with government. It
Right.
has to do with people losing the roles of their life. Right? We let men just go do whatever it is they want to do. We let women go do whatever they want to do. But I think we needed those roles in our life. We needed a mom, we needed a dad, and we've lost that. Now we have a sperm donor and an egg donor, and grandma's raising this offspring,
Right.
right?
Right.
We need some more leadership. We need some more guidance. And we're going to look for President Trump to give us that leadership. But we don't need President Trump. We need mom. We need dad. We need Uncle Joe to stand up, and not Uncle Joe Biden, but Uncle Joe to stand up
Sleepy
and
Joe.
go, because Uncle Joe doesn't even know he's Uncle Joe anymore.
Right.
So we need somebody to step up and go, no, 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 we don't do that here. No, we don't do that. And where is that person that says, no, no, mister, look, you have the wrong equipment. Get out of the ladies' room, right? We
100.
you've got to no, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You need to go over here and see your mental health professional, right? That's where you need to be. And then you come over here and say, where are my fathers? Right? Where are my fathers? Why are you still running in the street? Why do you have 6 kids with 5 women? Dude, what's wrong with you? No, you have to focus and bring yourself in. And I know I sound like a conservative right now, but I just think we need to get back to that point where we have to be responsible for our own actions. We have to start taking care of the messes that we make. We have to start being responsible for training ourselves and being ready for whatever life has for us. I'm responsible for what I do. I'm responsible for what I say. And I also want you to be ready, right? When you leave my campus, I want you to be ready for life. I want you to be able to pay your bills. I want you to be able to know, no, coach said, when I leave, I need to go get some training and get this job, because this job, even though it looks like I'm just working on this AC unit today, I'm going to own this freaking company in 15 years. And
Right.
so what do I have to do? But if there's no leadership that steps up and says, this is what you have to do. This is where you got to go. And we're so afraid. Everybody's walking on eggshells. Oh, I'm going to hurt your little feelings. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We have to stop and not be afraid of being canceled anymore, and step in and go, you know what? If you're going to cancel me, cancel me. But this is the way we have got to go, because it worked for the last 200 years. It has worked since the time immemorial. And we have to have dads be leaders. We have to have these moms go, yes, baby, you can bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan. But you know what? You still have a role at your house that you need to fulfill. That child needs a nurturer, right? And mama, that's what you do. And dad, I need you to kick that ass, right? Because that's what you do. You are the authoritarian in this house. So we need to kind of get back to that, whether it be the right side or the left side. And that's just my humble coach's opinion. And I appreciate y'all letting me have this format to say that.
Well,
Well, I want to say
here's
I
the
appreciate everything you said. The funny thing is, right in the middle, you said, I know I sound like a conservative. Well, we got a libertarian, a conservative, and a center right or a diehard libtard. I don't care what you call me, but we all agree
yeah.
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely.
That's why we do this show, because it just shows
Right.
people that
So there's
you can't have a
I don't think
discussion.
America's that far
So,
gone.
but here's the
There's
question
just
I
this
No,
thing
have.
when,
it's
no,
not.
there's
Okay.
this thing when you use the phrase make America great and Zach rephrased to make America greater, we've only gotten greater and greater over the years. Yeah, we've lost our way along the way. Yeah, we've had major disagreements. And yeah, we're at a crossroads. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to be back to intersect and get back together in any way. But we're not, we are going to get back together. I'm saying I agree 100%. You can't mandate family.
No,
You can mandate some sort of approach that replaces some aspects of the family that people are missing out on. And that's something I think we generally agree on. You're doing it every day in your academy. And it just needs to be on a bigger scale. And when we talked about a bigger scale, and not only have we talked about it on the show, but every time you do one of those symposiums about what you do, people are just fascinated with what you do. How do we make it a grander scale is the question. And generally, your point is it's going to be hard. We don't have the teachers to employ to staff
absolutely.
our public
Absolutely.
schools. So I said, rather
Or
than
sadly, some of the teachers
if you
that
can't
employ
move
are
the mountain,
bad.
go around it. Rather than employing a million new teachers, employ a million retired craftsmen, military people,
Absolutely.
retired police officers, and let's start there. And so there is a way,
But
and we're identifying a lot
that
of
would
those
start at the
ways.
ground floor in the state's government. So
Well, it would, and you know where it would start?
to
It would
touch
start
on
right with
your,
the four of us and Daryl being the leader of the pact and what he's doing
there's only
already.
3 of us here.
That's true. I am getting older.
You were thinking maybe you thought the pastor was here.
Or Lorianne.
We did talk about it.
Well,
Yeah.
you did have eye surgery today, so now you're
Oh
seeing
hell,
double.
there could be 6 or 8 of us here actually.
I think it went well.
See, you're
But
like, that's how Kamala's rallies always sounded
I
so
just
big. You guys saw so many extra people.
that
Well,
was it. That
Lord
was the
child.
what did he call it? The AI
Right,
imaging.
AI.
Yeah.
AI
No, but
imaging.
listen, here's my point to what you were saying, Daryl. And I think we need to, and I'm gonna sound V for Vendetta, whatever but you have to think the government has gotten too big for its britches. And it needs to be knocked down a couple pegs, and it needs to start focusing on the country. I know you worry about the Gaza Strip, and I know people worry about Ukraine. Look, I'm looking out my front window. I can't see none of it from here. I see my neighbors who need help. I
Absolutely.
see our city that needs help. Okay. We need to fix the 4 walls. Let's perfect the 4 walls. I say it every time. And then worry about everything else. Sure, we're the biggest and the baddest, and we got to go out there and smack somebody around when they get out of line. Look, the pajama nut job was testing missiles the other day that could reach the America's shores. He's
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
one
but
that
you know
could
what
probably
else
hit
we've
Hawaii.
realized though? When you just a side note, when you look at he sent 10,000 troops to Ukraine, his elite forces,
They
they're
ain't gonna do nothing. That doesn't
undernourished.
mean nothing.
They're trained, they're not trained at all. So
Yeah.
we're
Right.
identifying when we're talking about Ukraine just in particular, it's a research and development operation. We're
It's a
identifying our
waste of
enemy's
money. Why can't
weaknesses.
we give that money to the Appalachia people that are starving?
I mean, national security is a part of our agenda as far as protecting our
So we
four
build a wall and
walls.
keep them all out.
We're going down a whole new rabbit hole. Let's stick on education and
I'm
everything
just
else we
saying
were.
we're gonna build a wall. Anyway, we could even
Bigly,
put it on the northern side, keep Canadians out. They're too
bigly
nice.
wall, bigly, beautiful, beautiful.
Hey, what's this all about? I can't come over,
A
eh?
big
A
A
boot.
boot,
I just want a
round to the
pack of
boot.
smokes, eh?
hey,
And a liter of
give me one of
petrol.
those a couple of times.
No, but I just think I posted this the other day. People should not be fearful of their government. The government should be fearful of the people. The problem is most of the Americans now, although I might be proven wrong after yesterday's election, but a majority of Americans still are sheeple, and they're following the government, and the government's saying, let's go this way. Come on, come on. and it's not
You
the way
can
we
do
should be
it.
going at all.
Yeah.
I'm the blue fish swimming against the red fish. All the red fish are going that way. Guess I'm going the other way because that's not where I want to go.
Did
That's
he
the
call
problem.
himself a blue fish? I just want to point that out, Trip. He called himself a blue
He
fish.
did. He missed it.
Did you
I mean,
not
I
see
said there was
Doctor?
four
You
people,
remember
but I never
Doctor?
said I was a redfish.
You're
Did you
right,
not see Doctor
absolutely.
Seuss with the red fish, blue fish?
I
Yeah, you
know,
picked the
but
wrong fish,
I
though.
was
Whatever.
just
Blue's my
saying.
favorite color, except for in politics. I'm red till I'm dead.
I don't know. It sounds like a big Freudian slip to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I was like, woo! I
I
caught
know.
it. I caught it.
I'm for free health care for everyone,
You
and I'm
know, they
for
sell blue
free.
Bucky's cups.
They
Do
probably
they?
do, but Bucky's
I
is
thought
red.
I
Have
saw
you ever been
some.
there? That's their
Yes, I love
colors.
Bucky's.
I do
Lovely
love.
brisket sandwiches.
Oh, they
I've
make the
been
best.
there
They
one
are the
time so
best.
far. I'm ready to go back.
Let's go up there. You got to try the breakfast tacos too.
We should do the show from there, but there's no tables outside. Or is there?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're shoot, I don't
Is
know.
it like
Are
is
you
it
talking
like
about the one
Wawa?
in
Is there tables?
Daytona?
Because Wawa's got tables everywhere.
No, I was in one in Alabama recently, or somewhere in Tennessee, Alabama, somewhere.
There is
Ooh,
one in Alabama toward
That's where
what
I
is
was.
that? Not Talladega. What is that little racetrack that's out there in between Atlanta and Birmingham?
That's where I was.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, that's where I
Yeah, I
was. I
know
don't
where
know the
that.
racetrack though, unless
that's
it's
isn't that in Tennessee?
Nah, well,
Think
Talladega it might be, but I can't think of.
Talladega's in Alabama, but no, the one in Johnsonville, Tennessee.
That's essentially where I was driving home from.
There's a
We
racetrack
started
there.
in we were in Alabama, Tennessee, and LJ, Georgia.
Shows you how
All
often I actually watch NASCAR.
Yeah, I know. I just told on myself, didn't I?
Bunch of
Maybe
rednecks
I'm
making
not as
left
redneck
turns.
as I appear.
But no, but the point is the government is way too big for its britches. But the problem is we have too many sheep following the wrong shepherd.
Well,
And
How do
hopefully
we
the
change?
orange
But how do we
we
change that
hopefully we
message?
changed it yesterday. The orange man's going to be the right shepherd.
well, that's the
He ain't
conversation for the future.
the ultimate shepherd. We all know who the ultimate shepherd is, but he's not walking on earth right now.
But
So
that's the conversation for many, many more shows to come.
of
Is
course,
where are we going next? How are we doing getting there?
someone asked me, they're like, "What shows are you going to do now that the election's over?" We're like, "It's political. There's always going to be something."
Oh my God, we got
Absolutely.
so much
If
material.
if we could get away from, and not everybody will ever do this, but if we could get away from listening to media, listening to social media, listening to the news, because it's all baloney, 100% baloney, and just focus on my look.
Well, I think
My,
we've done that this whole show. I don't think any of us have talked about any of that.
no, not us in particular,
No,
Americans,
I'm telling you, this is like
America.
three dudes sitting on the
America.
porch, man. We
That's
just
right.
sitting out here trying to fix the world problems.
Just we don't have them beers
We ain't got
or
a
the grill.
cigar.
Well,
We should do this around a beer,
this
around
may
a
not
bucket of
be
beer.
coffee in this cup. Just saying.
I know
I'm
what
ready
it
to go
is.
get a drink in a
That's something.
minute.
We used to call that cough medicine. So but what I'm getting at is my dream. Now here's my dream, and it could happen. Maybe it won't ever happen. Is let's build little communities. Not everybody has to be involved, but I would love to own 50 acres and me and 20 of my best friends live on it, and we all live off the land and we work together and and you get back to the old days where you're trading and doing this and doing that and
Yeah,
doing that. All right,
tracking.
well, I don't have any money this week, but I can come over and iron your clothes or rake your yard or something. And oh, okay, that's cool. I can give you a pound of pork for that, or what, you know what I'm saying? And just get back to the way it's supposed to be. And there's no mayor, there's no governor, there's no boss. It's everybody working together. And if we did that as a community, then the community spreads and it spreads and it spreads. Suddenly it's a cult. But no, it's
Right.
America.
I was gonna say,
And then the leader's Charles, and he wants to kill people, and he sings
Charles.
Helter Skelter.
Is
yeah,
he dead
screw
No,
that
now?
guy.
Charles Manson, I think he
Yeah,
did die.
he did die, didn't
He is dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
he? He is.
Oh, he's having fun where he is.
Well, I think,
Not
guys,
not at
we
all.
have to continue this, but we got to start. What
Are
do
you
you
got to go to
think?
bed? Is it past your bedtime?
I'm ready for a drink. Daryl got me thinking about
Oh,
what's in it
sorry about it. You gotta keep this coffee cup close, brother. That's all there is
next
to it.
week. You got
You know what his
my
favorite
mind
thing to do
working.
is, Daryl? He goes to visit his mom for breakfast, and they have a beer together for breakfast.
No, she doesn't drink no beer. I bring my own.
Oh, you just drink
Dude,
a beer?
I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you right now. Dude, have as many breakfasts with your mom as you can.
I
You
try.
only
So right now
get
she's in New York for 1 week, and then next week we're gonna do it again.
absolutely, dude.
Uh,
I'm telling you, you
I
only get one set of parents, you
I
know?
yeah,
know. I
yep.
call and I call Mama Zach as often as I can,
I'm gonna be out there next week, next Wednesday. That's part of my Wednesday. That and this.
and the other funny habit he has is whenever he puts up hurricane shutters, he drinks Southern Comfort. I'm
No,
waiting
Jim
for
Beam,
him,
Jim
Jim
Beam.
B. I'm waiting for him to do a
But I'm
head
getting
plant
too
off
old
the
for that.
ladders.
Nikki helped me last time.
You're gonna fall off the ladder. You'll be all tuned up drinking your Jim Beam.
I'm getting too old to
Ah,
do it myself. I'm
yeah,
feeling it all.
absolutely. I ain't climbing up no ladders.
So
Getting too
so we need to build
a wall.
that too. But no, we need to figure out how to
What?
build a school
What
system.
did he just say? Holy,
I'm blue and he's wanting to build a wall. Holy
what the
cow!
hell?
It
Wow,
takes a
this show went
village, I
What's in
always
that
say.
sideways.
coffee cup?
And I even said, hey, look, the liberal tears are wearing off on me now. I've gone left.
You said you were blue.
Dad
Bluefish.
gummit. I just said I went left. I even gave kudos to AOC. Look, she's in look, other
I
than
give her
her
the
getting
same.
into
Hey, look, I
office,
ain't.
she's an
Hey,
idiot.
you know what? But the thing is that is, gentlemen, whether we personally agree with it or not, that is what we're calling for. We're calling for people to step up,
Right.
right? And then, and if we're going to call for people to step up, then those who do step up, we sometimes shouldn't just shout them down, right? Because if we weren't willing to step up, then maybe we need to shut up, right? So we have to listen to what they have to say. Now we can discount it because if they're crazy or if it's a cult or if it's
Or we
something
can
that
vote
we
them
don't
out.
fundamentally agree with, then we're allowed. It's America. We're allowed to say
America.
no. I don't need that. Now I don't have to cancel them, right? I don't have to cancel them. I just have to walk away, right? I don't even have to comment. That is the crazy thing. I can listen to someone and not say a thing and just walk away. And they don't have to know my opinion. They don't have to know what I'm thinking. They don't have to know. I'm allowed. And I don't, because I'm not going to change their mind. And at some point, if they're doing someone some good and they're not doing any harm, maybe I should just leave them alone and let them do their thing, and then I'll go over here and do mine. And
There's
the
room for both.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Trip, because that is the thing. Is there is room for all of us, right?
There's room.
And we need to let the leaders lead, and we need to let the people that need help get some help, and we need and those who are willing to still pitch in and work and do those things, they gummit, let us do it. I think
Yeah, we
it
do
all
need to let
matters,
the
man.
leaders lead, but when the leaders are leading wrong, we need to be strong enough to stand up and say they need to go.
Absolutely. To
They
say
Yes.
got to
no,
go.
no, no,
Yes.
no, no. We still need sheepdogs, right? We
They
still
the,
need
the
those
leaders
sheepdogs
need
to
to
say no.
realize the leaders need to realize, and that's the problem. I think they've forgotten that we can fire them because we hired them,
Yes.
Well,
and
we found that out last night.
we need
We
to
did.
clean house. Look, we got to get rid of the Pelosi's and the Maxine Waters and the Chuck Schumers and the uh, look, any of the old both sides.
Yeah.
Those are the names that are sticking out in my head right now, but we need to get rid of them.
Mitch
Clean
McConnell.
house. Yeah, get rid of him. Didn't he used to freeze up when he was talking? Well,
One time. One
no,
time.
it
No,
happened like two or three times.
that's one enough.
Yeah, one and done.
Yeah. I mean,
First time Sleepy Joe pooped himself, he should have been 86th. Put him in a home.
yeah.
I
Now,
just want to
you know,
say Ronald Reagan was showing signs of
They had to take
absolutely.
him out to his dementia he got bad towards
Yeah,
the
we
end.
all
the
know
la-
that Nancy ran that second term. That was
Just like
Nancy. That was not
Jill
wrong.
ran Jill ran the last couple of years of the
Absolutely. The
White
last
House.
staff
Absolutely.
meeting. Absolutely she did. And you know what? And January's coming and we need some I think we've got to get to that point, and I know we're getting long here, guys, but we got to get to that point where we got to encourage younger people to be not be afraid of being a leader, not being afraid to stepping out and being out in front. We need those folks, right?
I
Well,
think that would be a nice.
I was
I
talking to
think
a
that would
friend
be
of
a nice
mine.
part of the new campus we're talking about. To talk about that, picking
I
government
was talking to a
leaders.
friend of mine. Speaking of leaders, though, he's a military recruiter, and he was telling me that they can't get anyone. Well, he was on our show, John. He
Yeah.
was saying they can't get anybody. Military is down bad,
Yeah, we got ships
bigly.
sitting at the dock because we can't put sailors on
Can't
them.
put sailors on it. Absolutely,
Yeah,
nobody wants to go in the military. Now, look, the military is not made for everyone,
No,
but it
it
should
is
be a
not.
major option for everyone. Right now, everybody has such an anger and resentment towards the blue and the military, and it's ridiculous.
yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole nother show. I think on our next show we're going to be doing some rabbit holes. We're going to do some conspiracy theories. Trippy,
Woo!
I got a few. Trip, I got a few.
I need
And
more. I got to work on mine. I'm gonna work on mine too.
yeah,
It'll be fun.
I think next week we might have another guest. I think Derek's going to be on next week, or Daniel. Daniel did the our pal who runs his podcast, Profit and Paradox. Daniel, who's been on our show 2 or 3 times. He did a show last night, the entire election. They did a whole viewing, 6 hours.
7 hours.
Their
Seven,
podcast was
six.
6 hours and 3 minutes.
Holy shnikes!
Right? I
I don't
don't
know if
even
I could
want to
sit
hear
through that.
myself talk for that long. And I
I
love to hear
can't.
myself talk.
I couldn't wait on healthcare for 6 hours, to be
But we're
honest
gonna
with
have our friends
Oh,
back on.
right. This is why I don't go to the VA.
Right.
you.
We're gonna talk to maybe we're gonna get a healthcare person on. I gotta find a good healthcare person.
We need to.
But
We need to.
we're gonna talk to Pastor Joe again. He said anytime. I've got him lined up.
Let's
We're
get him
gonna
back.
Oh,
get
I
Let's get
Derek
love that
LA
on.
dude.
back too.
We'll get LA back. Oh, she already told me she can't wait to rub it in.
Bring her on next week.
She knows,
I'm
she
ready.
loves you.
I
But
got,
anyway,
I'm ready.
we're gonna start doing more shows. I think Trippy and I have discussed increasing our
Twice a week.
yeah, we're gonna try and do
Wow, you
twice a
go,
week.
fellas. There's some energy popping up.
Yeah,
It's
we
gonna
got to
be
get this.
great.
We're trying to get this thing off the ground. This is our 38th
7.
show, 37th
Dude, I
show.
don't think
37
you
shows.
guys know how much I enjoy this. This is just so much fun because to me, it's just fellas talking, right?
That's the whole purpose of the show. And everybody like, oh, you do a political show. I said, well, first of all, let me explain the title. I thought the show should have been called No Brainer because between the two of us, we ain't got one.
Right.
But
I'm tracking. I
you
got
you
you.
came and visited me after brain surgery. They told you it was still in the wrapper, didn't they? They
Right.
said it was like brand
Absolutely.
new.
It still had the new car smell.
It
But they
did.
unwrapped it.
They did. No, they left it. It's still wrapped.
No,
They
they
left
left
it
it. They just worked on the
wrapped.
jaw piece.
Look, it's going to be worth something someday. Don't
Well, that
devalue it.
might be reaching a little far.
If you get a coin, you keep it in the wrapper. But anyway, I wanted to go with no brainer. We have a consultant who's also our engineer who does an awesome job, and she recommended we go with political no brainer because when people type in the word political politics, it's a huge word. It's bigly.
Okay.
Big. Big.
Everybody jumps
Bigly.
on board. That's why we have like 12 subscribers. But I'm just kidding. We're growing.
Hey, it's growing.
But what do we always say, Trippy? Like, share, subscribe, tell a
Subscribe,
friend,
comment.
comment.
Wait. Who's our sponsor?
Oh,
Hopefully,
well, our sponsor tonight would be Turbo Tint. He's going to be on next week. Turbo
Turbo
Tint
Tint.
of Orlando. Check them out. They're down on Orange Blossom Trail between the crack house and the whorehouse. No, I'm sorry. Did I?
No, that's right though, because I that's right next to my school.
It is. It's very actually. It is right up the street from you. It's
Thank you.
north of. I got to get his address. I forgot to ask him, but
Can your
it's
school
on.
be the sponsor?
Maybe we could do. We could probably throw that in.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
If you
because
need to check with legal or
I used
anything
to, I
first,
used to laugh because we used to get Workforce Orlando mail. We get the mailers you guys send out.
Oh,
And
hey,
I'm
you're
like,
welcome.
I go, Lorianne, which one of our kids is going to Workforce? And she laughs. And then she ends up working there. This is when you guys were still at a Lee. We were getting this and trying to get our kids in there. And then all of a sudden she's like, hey, remember that school we used to get mailers? I said, yeah. She's like, Blackall runs it. I was like, oh. She's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to go work there. I'm like, oh, all right. Fair enough.
Hey,
sweet.
not for nothing. I really as of like last week, I do. I'm the executive director now. I run the whole damn place.
What happened to not that that I mean that's
Beautiful.
awesome. Props. What happened to the guy? What's his name? The older black gentleman who
Mr. Morrell
Yeah,
is
Mr. Rell. That's right.
Mr. Morrell. I love Mr. Morrell. He's our chief of staff. He comes in a couple hours a day just to make sure that his wife is at home, right? And so he comes in and he visits.
Every
And
time I come visit, he'd be like, Mr. Zach, look, come sit in my office.
yeah, he's a great man, right?
And is
And
Miss
our
Miss
CEO
Miss
founder, he shows up once a month and just to make sure that I am living, I'm properly running the legacy, right?
I met
And
him at the prom.
yes,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
then I think at the Christmas party too.
Yeah, at the multiculturals coming up. You guys, hey gentlemen, please come to I'll get you the dates. Come down to multicultural, eat with us because you know that's when people are the most.
I went to that. It was
I would
wonderful.
love
Oh,
to be
dude.
there. I
Oh,
Yeah,
love to
dude,
be
Trippy,
I,
there.
I
we'll
will
make a
make
day of it,
sure that I
Trip.
get you an
Yep.
invitation. It's
Yeah,
my
and then
house, so I can invite
what
you.
about what was the principal's name?
Miss Jones,
Yeah,
she
Miss
is
Jones.
now an advisor, right? So she is with us in an advisory role, and she is there a couple times a week. You're right, and so, but no, it's my house. So
Daryl's running the whole thing.
You need a
That's
good
absolutely,
you
beautiful.
need a good sales guy. I
Congratulations.
know a good sales guy for you.
Congratulations, Daryl.
thank you. I appreciate that because I
Thank
tell
you.
you,
Thank you for all you do.
it's a great mission. I love what I do, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else at this point.
It's
Like
beautiful.
I said, I do know a good sales guy for you.
Absolutely. I know a couple.
Anyway, Daryl, thank you for being on our show. It's such short notice. I know I texted him this afternoon. I was like, "Hey,
I was
you
so
want to?"
happy to hear you're going to be here. I was
Because
like,
because because
beautiful.
Dude,
because we were just going to talk about the election, and I mean, you know what? It is an important staple for our country, and it's part of our show. We've been going back and forth for however long we've been doing the show about it. But everybody's doing it, so why have another podcast about the election? We all know who won. We all know who
I think this
lost.
was incredible. I'd rather do
So
this. I
yeah,
rather,
yeah, and
I
yeah, we
think
got a
it's
lot to
I would
talk
great.
about.
rather I would rather use you guys as promote your school, um, Workforce Academy in Orlando. You guys got to check it
Absolutely.
out. If your student has to better himself,
Yep.
Daryl's your man. They will better themselves
GPA needs a little
educationally and
GPA
working.
help, needs some credit recovery. Man, we are all about that. You know, I got your text today, brother, and it was almost like, hey, coach, you want to come sit on the porch and have a beer with us? I was like, yeah, so it's like that
Awesome.
was a no-brainer, dude.
I was so glad to hear you're going to be on tonight. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, I can't take credit for it. My beloved told me, why don't you get Blackall on? Because she showed me your post you put today, which I didn't even get to touch on, but next time you're on, we're going to talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
I'll send you the post, Trippy, and it basically explains why he swayed one way. But we're not going to
Send it
go
my
into that.
way.
Yeah, because we got
yeah, I
I see
understand. I
time.
understand. Hell, we've been talking for hours.
Yeah.
So
So
so no.
so thank you very much to our special guest tonight. And of course, from Trippy and I, we love you. Thank you for listening to
Thank you,
our
Man, I
Daryl.
love
Thank
you
you.
nonsensical
guys.
I love you,
babble.
man. I love you,
And
man.
listen, tune in, subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, comment, tell us what you want to talk about. Do you
Go
want to hear
get some
more
window
about
tint.
Yes, and go see my boy at Turbo Tint and show him your tint.
Join the
Absolutely.
conversation too. Send us an email if you want to talk about something. We'll love to be
Derek
on.
would have been here tonight. I texted him. He was wanting to come on, and he got sidetracked with work, so he told me he couldn't make it. But hey, thank you guys, and we will see you very soon. Peace
Thanks,
out.
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you, Daryl.